Thank you, Adrian. The PQM team has been working on quite a few different processes and developing and updating our processes as we go throughout the last year. One of the ones that we've been working on is our program review process. This is kind of an update of what has been out there. We built it around eight measures that we're going to be looking at as you come out to visit your program. And these program visits may be started with a desk audit and move into a virtual program visit with you and your administrators. And these measures will be around program and planning and promotion. So how do you plan your program through the year? How do you promote what you're doing and the good things that are going on? And how do you build and grow your CT program there? Number two is educational personnel. So who's teaching? Are they endorsed correctly? Um, do they have a professional development plan? Those sorts of things. We're looking at career development. So how are you moving your kids from intro through post-secondary? How are you reaching down into the middle schools and growing those kids into careers? Looking at measure number 5, be facilities and equipment. This will be just making sure you have enough space in your labs and everything else, and you're doing things safely. Maybe some recommendations from your TAC on how to grow your space, how to make it meet industry standards. Number 6, community involvement. That's your TAC. It's community, business, and industry partnerships. So what kind of partnerships do you have? What kind of partnerships do we need to develop? Looking at all those things. Number 7 is leadership development. Are you doing a CTSO? Are you offering those kids the student leadership component for your program? And the last is evaluation system. So how do you go about evaluating? How do you use the TSA data to evaluate what you're doing and to change and update and fine tune your teaching practices? A couple of new pieces that we have in this is first is the self-evaluation. This will be where we have you fill out a form, evaluate kind of your process. We'll maybe look at having the administration fill out an evaluation form, and then your TAC also do a self-evaluation of your program. That way we kind of have 3 views of how your program's doing, and we can use those as we kind of look at it, see how things are going, and to troubleshoot those. And we'll send those out prior to us coming out to your programs, and then have those filled out and sent back. Those will be part of that desk audit piece that we develop. Like I said, we don't know what the year holds for us. We don't know what the year holds for you. And so we want to be mindful and respectful of your district and how they're going to operate. And so if we can get into the classroom, we'd love to be there. If we can't get into the classroom, then we will do this virtually or in some other format. As always, if you feel like you need a program review or a program visit, or you'd like us to come out and see what you're doing, see the great things that are going on, you can always request that from your PQM. So reach out to your PQM and let them know that you would like to get a program review done, and we'll schedule that and get out there and be on site with you. The next is the new and emerging pathway development. We are working on how do we identify and develop within the state the new and emerging pathways. So this is there's 2 steps in this process. The first one is if you kind of call us up and say, hey, I've got this new pathway. I want you to help me develop. Then we will send you this form. It's kind of a ranking system to kind of see where we need to get started. What kind of community involvement do you have? What's the industry need within the state and maybe the surrounding areas? And so it goes through and we rank it, and then it gives us kind of our next step process. It could be that we jump right into standards. It could be that we need to spend some more time working with industry to figure out what pain points are, to figure out what those competencies are before we jump into doing the full alignment process. Once we have that kind of done and completed and we're moving forward, then we will have you fill out, and we'll put this into the new program application as an opportunity to fill out a new program application to request getting that started in your district. So this one is still in development. We're trying to fine tune it a little bit, but be watching for it as we go forward. And as the world changes and grows and with this COVID stuff, pathways may emerge that we've never thought of before. So this is just one way we want to start trying to capture some of that information as we try to better serve the students in the state of Idaho. Program standards and alignment. Last year we attempted to update our standards that were due. We're on a 5-year cycle typically. So we were trying to update the standards that were due last year. We tried to do it through an online survey out to industry in the field. We had limited responses, and so we're going to have to kind of circle back around and do some new standards work this year. We have a list that of standards that need to be updated and developed. We're going to be using some new tools to help us get maybe some additional industry partners at the table, and then reaching out to you, probably doing most of these virtually. Your program manager should have a list of what ones are going to be done and how they're going to kind of tentatively do those standard updates this year, probably most likely virtually. As with everything, that's kind of where we're at. And so we'll create meetings where you can come in. We had great success doing this with the textile and apparels that Teresa Golis did. So virtual can be done, and we will work through that process, and we'll work with you to get you in there. So as you see those come out from your program managers, be sure that you are getting involved. It's a great way to learn the standards and learn what industry is looking for, and then how do those competencies get developed, and how do the tests get developed, and all those other pieces and parts. It's a really great process. All the teachers who have done this have truly enjoyed the process and have come out of it a little more knowledgeable of how we operate at the division level. Um, so we're looking at trying to get more industry and trying to get those things done this year. So those will be some things that we're working on and need your help on this year. The PQI and WRI, there's some challenges there with COVID and not everybody being able to take the TSA or the WRA exams this last spring due to the virus and school shutting down, and people just not having opportunities, or students not having those opportunities. However, we are dedicated and still fully intend to provide the WRI and PQI and technical assistant grants this year. They're going to look a little bit different. Hopefully this is a one-time kind of bump in the road, but they'll look a little bit different this year. So for the technical assistants, if you qualified last year and either you didn't apply or you applied and didn't get it, we're going to be reaching out to you, and we're going to be asking you to reapply or to apply, because there's probably 25 to 30 programs that have never applied even though they qualify. So we, as program managers, we're going to try to identify, well, we know those programs. We're going to come out and we're going to work with you on getting your applications done, getting them filled out correctly. And those of you that did apply, maybe coming back around and helping you improve your application to rank a little bit higher in the scoring rubric. So be paying attention to email communications from your PQM. It will be an invite for the technical assistance. So for the PQI, the incentive side of things, the high quality programs that get some extra money. We had 3 metrics that we used last year to measure this out, to come up with our group of, I want to say about 25. But we used students that took the TSA and passed that there's a percentage there, and then percentage of the students that took and passed the WRA. And we also took a measure of the number of students enrolled in your courses based on the number of students who took the TSA. And that was kind of our own measure. So what we're going to do this year is we're going to take the number of qualified students taking the exam versus the number of students enrolled in your courses, and take that measure off. That gives us about 10 new programs that would kind of bump into that passing category of 75% or higher for the TSA and 86% or higher for the WRA that didn't receive incentive monies last year. So if you received an incentive bonus last year for your program, you're not going to get a double dip on this. It's just going to be those new group of 10. The WRI, we have 3 metrics for. We're going to look at the number of students who took the TSA and passed, and the number of students who took the WRIA and passed, and the number of students that received all of their badges in SkillStack. And that money will be sent out to your districts to distribute to the pathway programs. The only thing we haven't worked out on that one is the distribution of that. We're still working with districts on how does that money get down to the teacher. And this is a teacher-specific kind of award. So it will go to the teachers who are in that pathway teaching those students. A couple of other things, the WRA is now for CTE capstone who meet the criteria, not just, so if you have a junior, if you have a level 1, 2, 3, say welding 1, 2, 3, and you have a junior who completes that, they will be eligible into these new categories. So that will kind of increase that eligibility of students for the WRI piece of it. A couple of reminders, the pathway programs receive the PQI and WRI, cluster programs do not. PQI cluster programs are eligible for the technical assistance based on the WRA, district-wide WRA scores. And Skill Stack is now a component of the WRI. So if you have questions, feel free to let us know, email us, and that way we can help you through these processes and these applications. But be paying attention to your emails, and hopefully this helps you out. I'm going to hand it back over to Adrian to continue the updates.